Hi, welcome to our daily encounter. Today in our reading we have several verses that talk about the tongue and talk about how, or talk about the speech, the things that we say, the comparison between how the fool talks and how the wise man speaks. And typically when we talk about our speech, usually the same topics are discussed. We should not be lying. We should not be slandering others. We should not be gossiping about others. We shouldn't be using filthy language or telling dirty jokes. And those are all good teachings and should be taught about. But there is one that is overlooked many times, and one that we probably don't think about too much, and probably one that we violate quite a bit. And that is talking too much. It might be surprising to some to recognize the fact and realize just how much the scriptures tell us not to talk too much. Even in our reading today, it's in there several times. In Proverbs 10:19, it says, "When there are many words, transgression is unavoidable, but he who restrains his lips is wise." In other words, if you talk a lot, more most likely eventually you're going to say something that is sinful. And of course we might call it sticking our foot in our mouths. The more we talk, the more chances we have of sinning with our mouth. Proverbs 11:13, "He who goes about as a talebearer reveals secrets, but he who is trustworthy conceals a matter." In other words, he doesn't have to go tell everything that he knows. He conceals things when it's appropriate. Proverbs 12:18, "There is one who speaks rashly, like the thrust of a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing." Proverbs 12:23, "A prudent man conceals knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaim folly." In other words, a wise person, he can be wise in his heart, he can be smart on the inside, and he doesn't have to always speak about how smart he is. He doesn't always have to give in his 2 cents. But a foolish person, he's always talking and he just proclaims the foolishness that lies within his heart. So these are just several verses just in our reading today that talk about not talking too much. There's a time for us to be silent and to be quiet. And the more we talk, the more dangerous it becomes, the more likely we are to sin. It's not just in our reading that we find this. There are other places as well. We could go on in Proverbs 17:28. It says, "Even a fool who keeps silent is considered wise. When he closes his lips, he is deemed intelligent." Proverbs 18:2, "A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion." Proverbs 29:20, "Do you see a man who is hasty in his words? There is more hope for a fool than for him." Proverbs 21:23, "Whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble." Now, if you want a New Testament passage on this, it says in James 1 and verse 19, "Know this, my beloved brethren, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger." We could also read what Jesus said in Matthew 12:36, "I tell you, on the day of judgment, people will give account for every careless word they speak." Psalm 141 verse 3, "Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips." Ecclesiastes 9:17, "The words of the wise heard in quiet are better than the shouting of rulers among fools." And Ecclesiastes 5:2, "Be not rash with your mouth, nor let your heart be hasty to utter a word before God. For God is in heaven, and you are on the earth. Therefore, let your words be few." So we can see that there are so many passages of scriptures about not talking too much. And this is for our good. You know, in James chapter 3, In verse 6 we read that the tongue is a fire, a world of unrighteousness. The tongue is set against our members, staining the whole body, setting on fire the entire course of life, and set on fire by hell. James did not think too well of the tongue, and rightfully so. How many relationships have been destroyed? How many churches have been split? Just think about all the damage that has happened in this world by a misuse of the tongue. It is a very, very dangerous thing, and one that should be used cautiously and wisely. You think about a gun. A gun is also something that is very dangerous. Sometimes it can be used maybe for good, maybe to provide food, and maybe protection, but also it can be used for destruction. Imagine if a person had a gun and they just shot the gun randomly everywhere. Maybe it's a machine gun, they just hold the trigger and just fling in bullets everywhere. Eventually they're going to injure someone, or probably even kill someone. When you have a gun, you recognize the fact that there's a power inherent within that gun that makes it, yes, useful, but also dangerous at the same time, and so you treat it with care. You got to think about your tongue in the same way. If you're always, what we say, shooting off your mouth, if you're always talking, and there's no filter, you're just always speaking, always giving your opinion, always telling everybody everything under the sky, you always have an opinion about things. The more and more you do that, the more chances you're going to have at injuring someone and end up maybe even killing a relationship, destroying a family. It can be very, very dangerous. So we shouldn't just overlook these verses about keeping our mouth shut and consider them lightly. We ought to take them very, very seriously. I'm sure we've all heard the expression, think before you speak. And that should be something that's not just a good saying, but something that we put to practice. Let's set a guard over our mouths and pray to the Lord that He would set a guard over our mouths and to watch over the doors of our mouths, so that we will not be the type that's just talk too much and get ourselves into trouble. So let's spend today thinking about this. Let's think about setting a guard over our lips. Let's think about maybe holding back the reins a little bit. We don't always have to fill every moment of silence with words. Let's just learn to just be quiet for a while. Maybe even listen to what other people have to say. So these are just some things to think about. I do thank you guys for listening in today. I love you guys. Hope you have a great day. God bless.